Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by CuriosityStream, a subscription streaming service that offers over 1,400 documentaries and nonfiction series from the world's best filmmakers. Get unlimited access starting at just $2.99 a month. And for our audience, the first 2 months are completely free if you sign up at curiositystream.com/twit and use the offer code TWIT. And by Automatic, the connected car company that improves your driving and integrates your car into your digital life. Visit automatic.com for a limited time 30% discount and free shipping on your Automatic adapter. And by Atlassian, unleash your team's potential with collaborative software tools like HipChat and Jira, which will enable you to work and communicate better together. Visit Atlassian.com to learn more. Welcome to another episode of All About Android. This is episode 270, recorded on Tuesday, June 14th, 2016. We are your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I almost didn't get that out. I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Ron Richards.
And
I'm Florence.
There we go. There we go.
There we are.
This is just like proof positive that if one small thing doesn't happen, it throws off the entire flow.
Domino effect.
Right.
Yeah,
it throws off the entire flow.
The flow.
And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm kind of in the middle today.
I know, it's kind of strange,
I
huh?
feel a little
How do you feel, Flo?
I feel really off. I feel off, actually.
Eyes looking at you,
Yeah.
staring.
Yes. And here to my right, we have Tony.
Tony Hannides.
What's up, guys?
So normally it's Lazy Tech Guys,
It
but
used to be.
now
it's Lazy Tech TV.
LazyTech.tv. What are you doing with this?
Well, it's very similar to what Lazy Tech Guys was, but then we have a higher focus in YouTube. So we're doing a lot more video content. We are pivoting the website to also do more evergreen reviews, interviews, conventions. So we were just at the Lenovo Tech World, as was Flo. And so that's kind of our goal with Lazy Tech TV. And then we have a lot more social media outreach that we haven't had before. It's still just a two-man crew, but we're hitting the ground running,
You guys
so to
don't
speak.
sound lazy to me.
Yeah.
You sound very busy
It's
and on the move.
very opposite. I have a lot of like little branches. I've Lazy Tech Guys, Lazy Tony Vapes, Lazy this, Lazy
You're
that.
not lazy, man.
No, but
No.
At the same time, it's just, it's a brand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Ron could tell you it's a brand. You got to market it and just kind of go with it.
I can tell you, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Right on. It's great to have you back.
Yeah,
Tony.
it's great
been
to
a
be
while.
back. Yeah, my pleasure.
Good to have you on today, especially because you were at that event. We're going to talk all about the Phab2 Pro, of course. We're also going to talk about the Moto Z lineup that was shown off there and things that bend, all sorts of stuff at that event. We've got a hands-on review of the OnePlus 3. We have it in-house here, and it looks awesome. Plus, Android's new nearby feature is kind of hitting everyone at this point. And the app boom. Is it slowing down? The answer may shock you, but we'll get to that in a moment after the news, Josh.
Well, there's still no iMessage for Android, but at least there's Android News.
Bravo,
my
well done.
gosh.
I know for a fact you've been working on that all day
God
because that's
bless
how
you.
Josh does this.
No,
I
I
have
like
been.
that it was related to
Nice
his
work,
interests.
I know, right? He ties it in,
Yeah.
but it still fits this show,
Yeah.
and he still has that like old guy voice
Put his
that I
own
like.
flair on it. He didn't just try and like be Brian.
Yeah, he's got his own thing.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm out of breath.
Yeah, and
It's exhausting.
he's
It's exhausting.
unfortunately he's going to take a nap now. So just park on the wide, and we'll do the rest of the show like that.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
Before we get into the news, Josh, aka News Guy, did bring up a very important thing that
Oh my
isn't
gosh.
probably in the rundown anywhere here, which is, were you guys expecting / hoping for iMessage for Android?
I'm sick of being a green bubble. Everyone is just getting on me about being a green bubble. But guess what?
What?
I am not switching
Okay.
just
Okay.
to get rid of that bubble. So
I've
Deal with
actually
it.
I've actually moved a lot of my communication to Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
So
And
Yeah.
I've moved. And likewise, I've moved a lot of mine to WhatsApp.
Yeah,
So it's kind of It's kind of Apple has dragged their feet in solving that problem, so other people did. So that's fine.
Well, Google has also dragged its feet in putting out something that everybody wants to get on.
Stop dragging your feet, everyone.
Until
Allo. I am excited for
whatever
Allo.
whatever they're calling it.
Allo.
I'm excited for Allo. I'm excited for what it does. I don't know. I just wonder how much pickup it's going to get as far as like everybody that you want. Like everybody here is on a different messaging platform, and that's a problem. I mean, I understand that competition is good, but when you're talking about messaging, it's such a pain in the butt to know who's on what and to know what to use for this person versus that person. I don't like that challenge.
Well, you start
Jason,
with Twitter.
you are perilously getting close to my Star Trek conundrum.
Go on.
I've explained this on the show before, where the world of competition and free enterprise is getting in the way of advancement, and you don't see in Star Trek where someone's like, okay, when they hit their little pin and it beeps, they've got to worry about what network is it connecting to. They're all on the same network because there's just one solution. You don't have people on 3 different chat networks. They're all on the same one because it's all unified. And until we get there, we're mired in competition and capitalism, and I sound like a crazy socialist when I do this. But that's the thing. That's
dare
the thing.
you compete?
It's never going to change. It's never going to change. That's the problem.
All right.
So I mean,
I just really love the use of the word mired.
Yeah.
Well, and it's
well
funny.
done, Ron.
And it's funny because so to our viewing audience, I'm actually in New York right now, and this is why I'm on Skyping in. But just the other day, I had a conversation with my sister, who I just got her on the new HTC 10, and she loves it. It's great. But her big problem now is that she's got a better camera, taking better photos, and she's texting them to other parents on my niece's soccer team, and they're on iPhones. And what's happening is that the photos are so much bigger that because the file limits on MMS are there, they're getting down-resed and they look all fuzzy. And so she's asking me, how can I send these pictures to these other parents? Because they're all on iMessages and they're sharing them that way. And I said, well, it's not through MMS because that has a file limit. Like we've hit the limit of SMS and MMS, and now we need a unified platform for everyone to communicate on. I told her to get them on WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or just email them. So I don't know.
Yeah. That's the problem.
Apple causes so many problems.
Yeah.
And Google too. Well, hopefully Allo fixes it. But what Google is hoping to fix as well, I don't even know if this is a problem to fix or not, but Google Play Services is being updated to version 9.2, as we all know. But with it, now you're going to have the ability to interact with a new feature called Nearby. And this is an expansion of something that you've already seen in your Chrome browser called the Physical Web, where a beacon near you would prompt you to load from it from inside Chrome. Now that capability is being expanded into the Android OS via Play Services, and the feature is opt-in, so tapping a notification that appears takes you to the experience, or just swipe it away. And so this is going to work on Android version 4.4 and higher. And basically, there's a certain number of people who think beacons are the future, and this is just a way of extending it onto the device. Which is really cool is that this will also be set up for Google Cast and Wear devices for this Nearby feature, so they can broadcast their whereabouts and then get detected when near a beacon. And examples of this might be, walking into a CVS and printing a photo that's sitting on your phone, or downloading an audio tour at a museum, or even using a mobile passport to skip the customs line. It's all ways for your device to interact with the world around you. And some people get freaked out by this. I think it's super cool. What do you guys think of it?
I agree. It is super
motion
cool.
carried.
Motion carried.
Cool. Yes.
No, I totally agree. I love the idea of, I was just looking at the notes, and as soon as Ron said the print the photo at CVS, I'm like, I would totally do that, because I'm that person who still prints photos out and has boxes of photos in her closet, because that's how I like to go through my memories. That's how I have my nostalgia. It's a little bit better than, going through your photos.
Do you think this could, Tony, do you think this could be abused in the way that, you're walking down the street and every store you pass by is beaconing you an ad?
Like a marketing.
Yeah, like you're walking down the mall and you get something from the Verizon store, which already does something like this, or the Apple store.
Free TV with a Samsung phone.
Exactly.
20% off.
But it's not just like an email. It's an email plus a text message plus one of, the notification alerts, and then you get it from CVS. And so what I think this is really good for is for those people that really don't download apps, because they don't know what these apps can do for them. So if they go to a place, let's say like Forever 21 a lot, and then eventually Forever 21 does this, like, oh, I can get this application that will let me know about these sales. This is super, super useful. But then there becomes that issue where every other store is going to have these kind of beacons, and opting in is a good thing. That right off the bat is a good thing that they're doing, instead of you having to opt out of it. But you're going to have to find a balance, as a user, and then the advertisers are going to have to do that as well too.
Well, because this is also really like, this is, I mean, and you're right, we have to find that balance, because this is perilously close to getting closer to that Blade Runner world where there's just ads everywhere, and as you're walking down the street, things are popping up.
How else are we going to pay for stuff, Ron?
Exactly. No, and so it's finding that balance and finding how and getting the user experience data logged to see how people are using it, see people who are opting in, and then the people who are opting in, how they're utilizing it and how they're using it. I mean, I know the use case that was presented to me for beacon technology that had me sold, which is like, okay, you need to find this one drill bit at Home Depot, and the Home Depot has 37 aisles. And, how can you find it? But that drill bit might have a beacon next to it, and then you can just pull up the map app, and it'll show you exactly what you're looking for. Like things like that allow you to interact with the world around you, that need to have that two-way communication between your device and those external beacons. I think it's something we need to be careful with, but it's definitely the future.
Can I tell you guys about a beacon tech that I found particularly useful and utilitarian?
Yes.
It was actually at Google I/O. It was in the Google Accessibility tent, and there was a startup, and they had created these beacons that look like little rocks or just like parts of architecture, and you stick them at intersections, and those who are seeing impaired, when they have these headphones in, and it gives them directions so they know like what intersection they're at.
Are the seeing impaired people driving?
Well, no. So they have like a little, earphone in their ear, and it tells them like, you're at so and so,
while they're walking,
train station, or you have 14 steps to go down, or like, the train outbound is on platform 2 or whatever.
That's
like
really
it gives
cool.
you, it helps give information to those with seeing impairments. So I'm just like thinking, I like the idea of beacons, and I just really hope that it doesn't become this disgusting marketing tactic that would end up like kind of hurting situations like that are actually really helpful.
It's another ad platform, and what we don't want to see is as you walk down the street, your phone beeping with all these ads that are coming up from beacons. But that's going to be the challenge, and the people using the beacons and creating the software are going to have to balance that.
I'm already getting some of that with like location services on Google. Like I'll get like, did you enjoy this restaurant that you were just at? I didn't eat at that restaurant. I just drove by it in my car.
Yes, I've had that.
And I don't even know what you're talking about. Why are you asking me if I've eaten there? Like I mean, obviously I know I can turn that off, but.
Or what I've been getting is I've been getting questions about places I was at, but like 2 days later.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, you were here. Does it take credit cards? And I'm like, I don't remember. It's
I've had other things on my mind.
I didn't even pay.
I don't know. I didn't buy the drink. Someone else did.
Exactly.
Quit bugging me about it. Jeez.
And the only options are yes, no, and I don't know. And I want an explanation field to be like, I don't know. I didn't buy anything, or like to at least explain it, but nothing.
I also wonder how much of this we're actually really going to see. Like iBeacon for iOS has been out for what, 2-3 years now.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, arguably, if you're talking about marketers trying to reach people with this sort of technology, you'd think they would have hopped on that train pretty hard, given that it's Apple that has this built into iOS devices. So I wonder how much we're really going to see of this kind of stuff. Or
It's still early days, I think.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing from iBeacon, so
that's what I mean. Like there hasn't been a whole lot of traction on iBeacon, so I wonder if Google's going to be able to get much traction out of it for Android devices. But neat nonetheless. I like it.
Well, and also neat. Just one added note. It also appears as if Google Play Services 9.2 is not only going to add nearby, but it's likely going to include peer-to-peer file transfer, which is cool. So we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, you've had to resort to apps in order to do this before, so that would be nice at a system level. It makes a lot of sense.
Like AirDrop for your phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we've got a couple new things coming up with Project Fi. On to our next little business of news. Project Fi is now expanding beyond just Sprint and T-Mobile. It will now include U.S. Cellular as a third cellular provider. Now, I've never personally used U.S. Cellular or any phone on the network, but I know that this is pretty big. I believe in like the Midwest, I want to say.
Yeah, some of the more rural areas, I would say.
Yeah, 23 states.
Yeah. How many?
23.
23?
Wow,
well, I
half
mean,
the country.
yeah, I do refer to it as the 5th largest carrier in the United States. So it's kind of nice to see a little bit of added spectrum for those of you on Project Fi. Project Fi is still gonna require Nexus 5X, 6P, and a 6 to use. Sorry. The best signal still gonna be given to the phone in the areas of coverage overlap. So, if you live in an area that has lots of T-Mo and Sprint and US Cellular, well, you're going to get really good service. So that's awesome. US Cellular will automatically begin rolling this out to users within upcoming weeks. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Do you use Project Fi or have you?
I got the invite, and then I never really did anything. And then I saw a bunch of reviews for it, and it was like 50-50. And like, I don't.
Who's your carrier?
Right now, I'm in the same boat with you. I'm on Verizon.
Are you like me, Stockholm Syndrome with Big Red?
Kind of. Now,
Yeah.
full disclosure, I did work for them, and so I.
That's
and
okay.
I,
That's
right,
and I-
you did.
I did,
You
and
did.
then
That's how I met you.
That's how we met. Sold you that Galaxy Nexus there.
Yeah.
That's all
Oh
your-
my gosh, that was a while
that was-
ago.
yeah.
Okay.
That was a
But
great
anyways,
phone, too. I like that phone.
but yeah, so moving off to a non-employee account, going to somebody like T-Mobile with 6 lines was just such a big financial ordeal that I was like, I'm just gonna stick with what I have. It's fine. My company now gives me a nice discount, so it's fine. But Project Fi, for those people that are looking for alternatives, especially in the areas where T-Mobile and Sprint didn't work out so well, and they were on US Cellular, this is great because it does expand that, and it makes Google Fi or Project Fi that much more accessible and appealing.
Yeah, I agree. It's good for people who travel too. Like
Yeah.
if you want to use a phone overseas or you just need a burner phone.
Right.
Yeah. I want to check out Fi. I just didn't jump through the hoops in
you're on
order to make it
T-Mobile,
happen. Well, and
so
that's
I'm
the thing, and I
almost
don't
thinking
do
you
a
don't
lot
have
of
incentive.
travel. Right? Like T-Mobile here, my coverage
you
is
have
fine.
such a good bill.
So
Yeah,
It's
it's
such
true.
a nice
You got that
monthly bill,
prepaid.
so you're fine
That
with
prepaid bill.
It may be similar if I did Project Fi, somewhere around 30-ish, which is what I pay now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It could also end up being more, and then I don't know, whatever.
on a
It's
massive
not
family
the end of
plan
the
with
world.
like a crap ton of Romanians, and that's gonna be
Aren't
my
we
life
all?
story. I'm just gonna live in a house with a crap ton of Romanians, and we're all gonna have one phone number.
That's a
and,
Snapchat story right now.
So stay tuned for that later on in Flo's life.
So this next topic, we actually got a video mail from Adam. I know he sent a video, and it was
do it
like,
in the car, did he?
what's that?
He didn't do it in the car, did he?
No, but it's pretty impressive. He sent a video, not from his car though, and I'm happy about that. Initially, and it was like 3.5 minutes long, and I was like, this is a really good topic. Any way you could shorten it, and like almost immediately he recorded another version of it, but it didn't come in time for last week. So Adam, tell us what you think about Samsung Pay versus Android Pay. What you got?
Hey y'all, this is Adam from San Diego. I thought I would show you a quick thing that I'm experiencing with my Galaxy S7 Edge for T-Mobile. I don't recall this happening in the past with my S6, but I've noticed that if I go into my settings here and I choose Android Pay as my default payment method instead of Samsung Pay, if I go to actually use Samsung Pay anywhere, it won't let me. It actually wants me to make Samsung Pay the default payment method, and it gives me 3 options here. But if I choose either this middle or the third option, not at this time, it will actually close out Samsung Pay completely and won't let me use it. So only if I agree to change my default payment method to Samsung Pay will it actually let me pull up my Samsung Pay shortcut and use it for payment. Otherwise, it won't let me use it at all. So therefore, I can't have Android Pay as my default payment method like I used to. I have to have it at Samsung Pay in order to be able to actually use Samsung Pay. So that was new and interesting for me, and I wonder if you had any thoughts. Thanks.
Was that after an update?
Well, it sounds like with the new phone, the S7
S7?
Edge, and that it wasn't happening that way on his S6, I think he
You
said.
know why?
S5 or
Because they
something?
weren't included by the carrier they
From-
weren't included
from the
out of the
start,
box.
yeah.
So they technically, the app was not a default app, the kind of app where you can't delete it. I don't know how to classify those apps.
Stock app.
But sure,
Bloatware.
a stock app. But you know what's interesting is that Samsung does the same thing with their keyboard app. The keyboard app will become the default after some time, and I used to get so frustrated. I'd be like, I don't want to use.
No,
this
but
awful
that's
keyboard
what
app.
you want is your keyboard. You want Samsung keyboard.
Yeah, no, I don't want Samsung keyboard.
No.
You don't
That's what you're not understanding.
You want
is that you want it.
Oh, yes.
You do want
Yes.
it.
You want that.
So, Adam, what you don't understand is that you want Samsung Pay. You don't want Android Pay, even though I'm pretty sure you've got a ton of awesome Android Pay gift cards. I'm sure Google gave you some free stuff because that's why I use Android Pay.
Yeah, so I followed up with Adam just as like, you know, kind of like what are the things that you like about each? Because obviously he has different use cases, different reasons for using one over the other. And he sent back a couple of points here. So he says Android Pay, Pro. Technically, it's easier, right? Phone to terminal, you hear a beep, you're done.
Yeah.
He says a con is that it's not ubiquitous. You don't have Android Pay everywhere, all over, you know, wherever you go to make payments. With Samsung Pay, you can use it pretty much almost everywhere, which means, and this is, I think, a pretty important point, is that he can safely leave his wallet at home. Or if he leaves the car to go into a store and he forgot his wallet in the car, he doesn't have to go back just in the case that it doesn't work.
That person. I'll be right back with
yeah,
my milk and
man,
groceries.
I had that just last week, and it was just so annoying. I couldn't get my bananas. I couldn't get my bananas for my shake. Seriously. Anyways.
We have no bananas.
Yes, I had no bananas that day.
No bananas today.
Samsung Pay, another Pro, gift cards and membership cards that you can put in there. But he says the con, it's technically fussy. He says rarely does it ever work on the first try. Usually works on the second try. But he's put it at 90% of the time. The first time error happens for him.
And you got that long line of people behind you.
And you feel like
what are you doing?
Yeah, and you're like,
get your
can
wallet.
You try the other side? Actually, I think the magnet's on the other side. No, really, I promise you this works. I have money. This is like the phone.
This is my job. I know what I'm doing.
It's stressing me out just hearing you talk about this scenario.
No, I've even when I did my little review video, I ran into where I was buying dry shampoo, and it was super embarrassing. Even though I had like my video crew behind me, it's like even though I had other people there to feel embarrassed with me.
Yes, maybe that was what's so embarrassing.
But
is you had an entourage.
This is why I didn't use. I was so afraid to use Samsung Pay without anybody around me because I felt like I'm going to feel like an idiot. I'm going to be so embarrassed. I'm going to feel bad about myself. Anyway,
Adam
it's a psychological thing.
Adam did say that he would not move away from Samsung mainly because of Samsung Pay. So it sounds like he's conflicted. I mean, both services obviously have their benefits. What were you going to say, Ron?
Funny because I haven't used Samsung Pay at all, like period, but I use Android Pay maybe on a daily basis in San Francisco and have no problems whatsoever.
Because you're in SF where there's NFC terminals everywhere.
What I was going to say, it depends on where you are. Like your geologic location. If
those of us in the burbs.
He's down in San Diego, he said?
San Francisco.
No, Adam.
That's a good question. I actually didn't hear whether he said that or not.
I think he said, I'm not quite sure. But it really depends. Like being in San Francisco, we are surrounded.
San Diego, you're right.
So it's a possibility down in San Diego. They have it only at the main places like.
But San Diego is the second biggest city.
Okay. So I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, no.
I'm sorry. I was trying to make some sort of.
What is
San Francisco's so
what does he
small,
say?
anyway.
He says mainly I use it at Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, and Walgreens. So it's a limited scenario.
Well, this means you just have to pick and choose where you shop. That's it. You can only go here.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's kind of a bummer, right? Like it sounds like on his old phone he was able to kind of hot swap between whichever payment method. They both obviously have their cons and their pros, so it should be possible to do this. I don't know why it's not anymore.
I think the minimum is that no phone or no carrier or no manufacturer should ever make you default to using one. You should always have that choice. And I don't know if that's a problem, if that's something that other Samsung phones are experiencing, or if it's a problem that's happening specifically on his phone due to a bug or a technical issue. But that should not be the case.
Yeah, that's the thing that we can't figure out based on what we have.
My suggestion to you is, I know this kind of is a bummer, but just keep using Samsung Pay because here's the deal with it. It's not just MST. It'll work with NFC too. If the MST isn't working for whatever reason. I mean, it has the chip inside, so yes, it's a total bummer that you're kind of forced to use it, but at least it's, it's compatible.
More or less ubiquitous.
It's ubiquitous. It's compatible. You can put your Costco cards in there. You can put your credit cards in there, your loyalty cards, like you said.
And they'll get better.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, and
we'll see.
I don't know. Can you, if you want to use Android Pay, obviously we're not talking to him, but I'm curious if when you use Android Pay, if you can still use it. I don't know if he mentioned that in the video. Like if you bring up Android Pay, we'll let you use it, even though it's not the default.
Yeah, I guess that's the challenge from what he was saying. I couldn't gather whether he's successfully able to use it with the new system.
Because I'm thinking,
or not,
you know,
it sounds like he keeps blocking it.
Yeah, well, it sounds
he's
like
pay blocked.
If you want, like Google sometimes gives you the perks. I still got like my Best Buy gift card from the Christmas promotion that I haven't used.
Chromecast.
Yeah, you know, if you want to use the perks and you can still use it, I mean, that's great. You'll be able to do that, but it looks like you are married to Samsung Pay for the rest of your device's life.
Yes.
Or get a second phone specifically for Android Pay.
Yeah, you know, all the
This
money you have laying
pocket
around.
Yes.
Yeah, all the
That
money
sounds
you're
like a great
saving
idea.
because of Android Pay.
And you know,
Move off of
little gift
Samsung. Move off of Samsung. That's my advice.
Well, he doesn't want to.
I know, but he should change his mind.
Okay.
that's Ron's advice to you. Change your mind.
Yeah.
The more you
Think different.
There you go.
All right, Curiosity Stream. Let's thank a sponsor before we move on into the hardware part of the show. Curiosity Stream is awesome if you like nonfiction, kind of documentary style video, and you like it ad-free. This is the world's first ad-free nonfiction streaming service. It was founded by John Hendricks, the founder of Discovery Communications. Over 1,400 titles and 600 hours of content available in 196 countries worldwide. You've got them all on the platforms that you're going to want to find them on. Web app, there's a Roku support, Android, iOS, Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Amazon Kindle, Apple TV. You've got all sorts of categories, right? Science and technology content, nature, history, just a ton of topics that you can dive in and check out. And if you like 4K content, if you've got a 4K TV and you need content to throw at it, they have over 50 hours of 4K content, one of the largest 4K libraries on the internet right now and growing. In addition to documentaries, they also have interviews and lectures, all that kind of stuff for you to dive into. A few things to kind of pull from the library. Stephen Hawking's Universe. This is a series where Stephen Hawking, brilliant man to say the very least, traces the history of astronomical theories and technology. There's Next World featuring just talk about the future of technology, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, other big technological questions throughout. The Human Face of Big Data, which is exclusive to Curiosity Stream, actually, if you want to find out a little bit about big data. The Road to Singularity. Jason Silva and other experts explore the inevitable arrival of superhuman intelligence in just a fascinating documentary. Also an original to Curiosity Stream. There are monthly and annual plans available, and plans just start at $2.99 per month. That's less than a cup of coffee or the cost of one video on a different on-demand platform. So there you go. You get a full month out of that. Check out curiositystream.com/twit. Make sure and use the promo code TWIT during sign-up. You'll get unlimited access to the world's top documentaries and nonfiction series completely free for the first 60 days, so you can check it out. That's 2 entire months free of one of the largest 4K libraries around. Just go to curiositystream.com/twit and use the offer code TWIT at sign-up. And we thank CuriosityStream for their support. All right, we've got an excellent hardware section. Let's do it. This is a hardware block to be proud of right here. This is our crowning achievement. 3 marquee device categories, all of which both of you have seen pretty much.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. How tired are you? I'm pretty tired. I was working on this all weekend, so I'm pretty...
I've seen 2 of the 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Well,
she's
we'll all
more
see this now.
tired,
Yeah.
tired than I am.
She's tireder.
Yeah.
So I've got here in my hands the OnePlus 3.
The one.
Trying to angle this correctly. As you can see, my first remark when I first saw this phone is, Tony, would you like to hold?
Oh, sure.
Would you like to be our hand model?
Okay, there you go.
Makes it easier for me to talk if somebody else does the hand
There you go.
modeling.
There you go.
When I first saw this phone, I remarked, it looks like the love child of Apple and HTC. And pretty much everybody I said that to has agreed with me.
Yeah.
As you can see, the back looks a little HTC-ish with the antennas. And then you've got the sides, which look a little Apple-ish with the grill, the speaker grill right here, and, the charging port, and also the little alert slider right here.
Explain the alert slider again.
The alert slider, it's for volume. So you switch it up and down, it goes from silent mode to loud mode.
They had in the OnePlus 2. I like
Yeah.
it.
You can customize it. This one's a little smaller than the one on the OnePlus 2. So the OnePlus 3 is, I have to say, one of the nicest phones I've held all year. And I'm comparing this to the GS7s and the G5 and even the 10. This is just such a really nice device. It's a really dang good deal for $400. You get Snapdragon 820, 6 gigs of RAM, which, guys, Snapchat did not crash on me at all.
That is key.
Wow.
It was,
For people like us.
It's kind of a
Bearing the
benchmark.
lead.
So I use this. I've learned that other OEMs use Snapchat as sort of a benchmark to see if their performance tweaking is on par, because Snapchat is
but
awful.
true. Yeah.
Because it's so awful.
Yes.
It constantly crashes on you.
Yes.
And it's so frustrating. You want to throw your phone at the wall. I did not throw the OnePlus 3 at the wall at all, because it was fine.
Good.
With the extra RAM. And I sort of likened it to kind of putting extra like sticks of RAM into your PC and sort of having like a little bit of that performance posterity. You know, maybe the GPU and everything isn't going to be, up to par in a couple of months, but at least you've got some extra memory, to kind of help tide you over. So
Give me your fingerprint.
yes.
All right.
So it's kind of nice to have that. It future-proofs a little bit.
Hopefully lasts longer than the 8-10 months you've had with the other phone.
With it, yeah. So my Nexus 6P feels really antiquated compared to this guy.
Right.
I really feel like OnePlus has shown its maturity in this particular device launch.
I was gonna say OnePlus is all grown up now.
Yeah.
It looks like.
Except for expandable memory, they've answered a lot. The fast charging, much better camera, the fingerprint reader, and NFC now.
Yep.
I mean, so what more? You could definitely ask for more, because there is a little bit of a bump with the camera. So you could say, well, if you're going to have a bigger camera module, add more battery. Sure, fine. But for what they've done, they did it really, really well.
It's one of the thinnest phones on the market right now. Of course, we're not counting in one of the next devices we'll get into, but this is 7.3 millimeters. It's like 7.3 and something, which makes it slightly thinner than the Nexus 6P, which also measures in at 7.3 millimeters. The 16 megapixel camera is great. It's got both optical image stabilization and electronic image stabilization, which is for video. It's got a manual mode, RAW support, pretty good low light for just having a typical, I feel like the aperture now for all the phones has got to be at least f2.0.
Is it not 1.8?
Well, I mean, just like the substandard needs to be 2.0,
yeah.
And if you want to go...
Is this 1.8?
It's 2.0.
It's 2.0.
It's 2.0.
Okay.
But I feel like the OIS really helps with the low light stuff, so I was not having too many issues with it without a smartphone tripod. The other thing we have to mention, you did mention fast charging. So the fast charging on this is proprietary. It's a dash charging.
It rhymes.
It's dash charging, and it has the chip inside of the adapter so that you don't have to worry about it throttling down the phone when it's charging. The bummer to that is that you will have to buy all of your chargers and your battery packs and your car chargers from OnePlus specifically. But you know what? Who cares? Because guess what? You can actually buy this phone without an invite.
For $399.
$400, and you get like all the latest flagship specs, plus a couple of extra bits of memory. And also, this 3,000 milliamp battery life lasted 8 hours in PC Mark, which is kind of awesome.
Wow.
That was longer than the GS7 Edge, and that had a 3,200 milliamp battery pack. It was bigger than 3,000.
It's bigger than 3,000. Now, the screen on this is 1080p. What do you think about that? Because everything else, it's AMOLED.
I don't need more than 1080p. I'm fine with the 1080p. And I like the dark mode that it's got on here, by the way. The little thing that makes it yellow.
Show everyone.
It makes it here. It's all yellow. And I know it looks weird to you, but when you look at this in the dark, this is awesome.
Your eyes adjust.
And your eyes are adjusting.
Yeah.
It's great because when I'm looking at a full smartphone, it actually is literally keeping me
So
awake.
if I'm watching like Voltron on Netflix, is everything going to be
It is
yellow?
going to be skewed. But guess what? You can go into the settings, and I know my password. You can get into the settings and change that as you like. There's so many customization options. So here you can adjust the color balance and how intense the night mode is. So if you don't want it that yellow, it's fine.
Can you put a timer on the night mode?
I did not look into that. It looks like
looks
not
like it's
yet.
a manual
Well,
switch.
there you go. OnePlus, a request from Jason Howell.
Oh, jeez, you mean you don't have a timer on the night mode? Done. I can't recommend this phone.
How dare
It's
you?
not like apps can't do that already, that I use them all the time.
This also has a dual nano SIM slot, which is awesome if you travel a lot. I'm probably going to be popping another SIM into this when I go overseas later this year. And it doesn't have expandable memory, but it has 64 gigabytes right out of the gate. You can't buy anything else. And I got to be honest with you, I've been using the 6-piece this November with 64 gigs, and I'm barely at like 19 gigs right now, and I take a crap ton of photos. And I have a lot of Spotify playlists downloaded, so it's been enough for me.
Nice.
You know? This is a really darn good phone. I gave it,
6 gigs of RAM. Like, is this the first smartphone that we're seeing right now in the 6 gig territory? Like,
I believe so.
I'm trying to think if I've seen that before.
so.
I feel like 4 has been the standard up until now.
I think I haven't seen. I can't recall seeing a 6 gig. But now that I think about it, I mean, like, is this the beginning of the trend?
Yes,
I mean,
probably.
You know, I mean, because honestly, more memory is the better. So if memory costs come down and they can get 6 or maybe even 8 gig in there, I would totally jump at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with Android N and Daydream, I'm assuming the Google VR on Android is going to have to be optimized to be able to do all that graphical kind of processing. So 6 gigs of RAM would probably be a minimum requirement.
That's what I figured.
Will this be upgraded to N in a timely manner? Who knows? Because the OnePlus 2 hasn't even been upgraded to Marshmallow. So there was someone in the chat room that was asking, what about Android updates? That's going to be a question. You know, this is very, in my opinion, very on par with a lot of the other flagship devices that are out there. Maybe even beats the Nexus 6P or any of the Nexus that are out right now. But you're still going to be on OnePlus's schedule to upgrade.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's a big
yes.
counterpoint.
So I did speak to OP, and actually I have an interview going up with Carl Pei tomorrow, but we didn't talk about updates specifically in that interview. But when I did talk to him, he had said that they were working on their version of Android N. So at least that's kind of like, there's no solid like due date. They have no promises about when it's coming. But that was something that I looked at because I had originally written in my conclusion about, or in the software section, I had said, oh, and you don't have to worry about Android updates because this has the latest security update on it. So it has May because I got it before the June update came out. And so I was thinking, oh, you'll get all the security updates, it's fine. But I couldn't find any documentation or any blog post from OnePlus that promised to deliver on those monthly Android security updates. So I actually think that takes much more precedence than software updates at this point. To have those security updates.
Security updates are,
I feel like that
if
you're not going to be able to deliver on the software updates, then at least security updates, and we've seen like the other OEMs have committed to that.
Sure.
They've literally put out press releases about it. I could be wrong. There could be something out there I just couldn't Google. I just don't I don't have any particular memory about it. Regardless, for $400, this phone is pretty phenomenal. All right. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
And you don't have to wait to get it. That's I think
no
that's
invite.
True. No
the invites are
invites.
gone. You can use Android Pay on it. I did use Android Pay.
Can
at
you
the
use
grocery
Samsung
store.
Pay on it?
You cannot
you
use
cannot
Samsung
use
Pay.
Samsung Pay. It has OIS, right?
Because it has OIS. Yes.
I think I want to amend what I said earlier. Is that OnePlus is almost all grown up. I think that it's the no invites required and the price point, and that device looks great. I think just the point that Tony made about the OS updates as well as other little things here and there, it's not quite all grown up. But OnePlus almost is grown up. It's like it's a teenager.
Learned how to tie its shoes. Finally learned how to tie its shoes.
It just got its learner's permit, and it's got an after-school job that it can drive its car to. But other than that, it can't drive on nights or weekends.
And it still might get into a horrible accident. So be careful.
Yeah, exactly.
Be careful. We don't know what the future has in store for this
Are you allowed
phone.
to drive alone on a learner's permit?
Nope.
No.
I wasn't.
Nope.
I was. Oh, I was.
Man,
If you-
things
if
were
you
so
had a
much
job
better
at
for your
time.
generation.
In New York State, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, if you had an after-school job, you could drive to school and then to the job and then home, but you had to be home before dark, which
you
I
had a
broke
curfew.
every day. I broke all the time. So, but whatever.
Bring it
I didn't
back.
get pulled over. Yeah.
Anyway, next order of business.
Next order of business was an event that I wish I could have gone to, but I couldn't. I wasn't able to go to the Lenovo event. You two were there, and I think the thing I was looking forward to, although really in hindsight, there was a lot of interesting hardware there.
Yes, there were shoes.
Too much.
there was a ton of interesting stuff there. Let's start with the Phab2 Pro, although it's a Phab2 line. So there's basically three different devices, three different Android devices that Lenovo showed off. But the one that really kind of caught people's attention because it's the first Tango device is the Phab2 Pro, which is huge, 6.4 inch.
It's so big, y'all. It is dense too. Exactly.
Really?
I put it to my ear with my
No, you would get tired.
Well, that, and then I had an iPhone 6 Plus, and I also had my Nexus 6 with me. I was like, this is like two of my phones.
Did you bring your Nexus 6 specifically to like put it up against it and be like, is this bigger?
I just have my phones with me when I go to the events because I always want to put it side by side with the other phones.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's heavy, it's clunky. It's not really meant for the average consumer.
Right.
I think we can all agree that this is very specific to a niche market. It's going to be in Lowe's. It's going to be sold directly to vendors and people that would take advantage of augmented reality. Similar to that of HoloLens or exactly. Schools definitely.
Museums.
At $4.99, it's a very good buy for those kinds of tools that we would need.
It doesn't even. Sorry, go ahead, Ron.
I was gonna say, do you think it's targeted at people with very large hands?
No.
From what I can gather, it's less about that and more just about being a tool that does something.
The thing is,
as opposed to being a phone that you're expected to be your daily phone.
Right. So calling it a tool is exactly what it is. The fact that it's going to be in Lowe's, and they had the guy from the lady from HGTV and the guy from Lowe's, and showing that. In real time, augmented reality, this is your new hardwood floor. This is where your chair is going to be. Let's walk around it. And I could imagine a interior decorator buying this at Lowe's, not at the AT&T store. The being a former sales rep at a Verizon store, that is such a very specific phone use case that it's going to be forgotten, it's going to be glossed over. But selling it at Lowe's or Home Depot or some places like that, those sales reps would be able to say, this is another tool in your tool belt, so to speak.
Yeah.
But so then are the salespeople at Lowe's prepared to sell that and deal with the support and all that sort of stuff? So they're doing a training program.
They've had this program already. Actually, they've been using different
HoloLens.
They've been using Oculus.
That too.
Right now in stores, so that you can visualize like what your kitchen remodel will look like.
That's such a hyper specific use case. It's
but so many people go to Lowe's and Home Depot, and I can imagine if my dad were a younger person and he were still kind of deep in the throes of his contracting business, I would tell him, Dad, you should buy something like this, and so you can help people, show them what you're going to do to their house.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like if I was hiring a contractor and they came over with a Tango device or a VR kind of thing, it's like I would be like thumbs up because that's who I want to work with. So that's really cool. I mean, that's actually really, really interesting.
And it's $500, so it's basically like, people buy iPad minis just to like have one. It's essentially the cost of like a refurbished new iPad. I don't know how much they go for. I mean, quite honestly.
I wonder how long until we see HGTV adopting this on some show where they're like, okay, let's step into the virtual
Pretty
design
sure the
of your
Property
new
Brothers
home.
are going to be using this in the next season, which, by the way, I've been binge watching on Netflix.
It's easy to do.
It is very easy to do. So one particularly interesting thing about the Phab2 Pro is, so first of all, the software that was on it at Lenovo World was not final software. Right. It was very buggy. I didn't want to comment too much about it. As maybe Tony can agree, because I kind of feel like I didn't really get to see.
Well, no, it's pre-release software.
It's pre-release software, exactly.
Yeah, you have to give it a little bit of leeway.
Yeah, but it worries me a little bit because we only have 4 gigs of RAM, and so maybe I'm thinking in PC terms, like personal.
Not 6.
Yeah, not 6, but maybe I'm thinking in like desktop terms. But that just doesn't feel substantial enough for AR. But maybe I'm just kind of thinking old school about that. And the other thing is that it has a Snapdragon 652 processor, which I had never heard of until, I had read about it, but not like heard of it in an actual release.
Kind of a mid-range processor.
It's technically a mid-range processor. It's supposed to be the bump up to last year's 810.
Huh?
That's how it was explained.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
on the internet.
These are decisions that were made, as far as I can tell, because what they really, based on what they're marketing this device to be, 500 is a pretty magical price point for a tool that helps you, let's say, redesign your space or whatever.
In your living room.
That's important.
You know what I mean? Like if they were to come out and totally spec this through the ceiling and the phone costs $800,
people would be like,
it would be way less enticing for someone to integrate into kind of their business or whatever they might have a use for this to be. Or marketing an $800 technology product at Lowe's might be more difficult than marketing a $500 one.
But sorry, go ahead, Don.
No, but back to your point, you get the Goldilocks price point of $499, but then if it's underpowered, back to your point,
then you get disappointment.
Well, I've got I've got all these measurements here, and I've got the table all measured out. You move, and then the measurement goes away, or something happens. Something crashes. Snapchat crashes. That's the worst thing in the world. When you're
redesigning
someone's living room, Snapchat better not crash.
Yeah. Priorities, y'all.
But it is kind of disconcerting to think about, because we as Android enthusiasts want people to be sold on this technology, because we wanted to see it used in the mainstream. And if something goes bad, but you know what? This is all we're just talking.
Yeah, because
theoretics right now.
If you remember the Tango device that came out, the developer one that came out was a year ago or so, and we all kind of like scoffed, like, who's gonna buy this? And it was way too expensive. Now we've got this.
And it was buggy too.
That was for developers too.
Right.
Specifically.
But now we've got this on the consumer market, and it's not right now 100% perfect for what it could be, but it's a 10 times better than it was, compared to how the developer one came out. So one can only assume this being the first step into that market of AR/VR, whatever you want to call Tango, this is a good stepping stone.
I agree.
Well, I think, and to build on that, Tony, I think it's a really interesting point that this is a Tango phone that is going to be shipping, that is going to be available, that people can get their hands on, which is a huge step forward, especially coming out of the development phase, and is just the beginning. And once again, going back to what we're talking about with beacons, to see how people use it, to see what people develop, to see what the use cases that emerge, and then that will be applied to the future releases. So bravo to Lenovo for taking a risk on it. I think that's really cool.
Look at the Note 1 with the stylus. People laughed at that thing, and now
we did. We all made fun of it.
Yeah, we all made fun of it.
We asked people to take photos of it in the wild, if you remember correctly.
Yes,
I remember that. Android in the wild. That was a good segment.
Well, so our last order of hardware business is the Moto Z and Moto Z Force. The Moto Z is the super thin counterpart to the Moto Z Force. It was 5.3 millimeters thick. I'm sorry, I'm loading a browser page. I'm sorry, I did not have this prepared. I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
5.2.
It's supposed to be thinner than the phone I just reviewed. It's 5.2 millimeters.
5.2.
I got to tell you guys, and Tony and I were talking about this before the show.
You said almost disturbingly thin.
Yes.
Shockingly thin.
It was way too thin, y'all.
Yeah?
I felt really flimsy, by the way.
I think there is a point where
it was kind of bendable. It felt
it
kind
becomes
of like
too thin. Yeah.
It felt like it just didn't feel right, y'all.
I don't think there's a thing that's too thin. I think I agree with you in terms of it feeling cheap or plastically or bendable, but too thin, thinness is what we've been longing for. We want thinness.
I understand.
Look at that camera bump.
But look at the camera. No, that's another good point. Look at the camera bump.
Camera bump is way too much of a bump.
Yeah, it's like so protruding. I don't want to put that.
Is it thin? Is it thin because you're snapping stuff on the back of it?
Yes,
yeah.
That's the idea.
See, so there you go.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
All right.
Whatever.
Fine, Ron.
You should reshoot your video then.
It's got a 5.5-inch display, 2,600 milliamp battery pack. The Moto Z Force has a 3,500 milliamp battery pack. Moto Z Force is also a little thicker, kind of in a weird way. Like the side panel on it is just sort of weird, but it all makes sense when you put the modules on. I know we want to talk about the modules, but hold on before we get to that.
I want to hear that.
Before we get to that,
patiently for that.
Just want to point out this picture of the Moto Z. You will notice that there is if we can flash back to the picture, please. There is a little fingerprint reader right there. That's just a fingerprint reader. I don't think it works as a home button.
It doesn't. I tried.
It's not a home button.
It bothered me.
What a waste of space.
It bothered me so much. I was pressing that just to go back home. It wouldn't do it. And it just forced a habit. This kind of design decision makes me infuriated. I'm getting red under all this makeup.
She is.
The other thing is those two little bips and bobs that you saw on the other side. Those were infrared sensors, which is kind of cool because when you are just like hovering near the phone will turn on the ambience display. But I don't think it's a nice design decision. I think it looks kind of like, hey guys, let's put all this stuff in real quick. We don't really know what we're going to do with it, but let's just put it in there anyway.
To some degree, it reminds me of the Fire Phone. The friend of the Fire Phone had these dots on all four sides, right?
You're correct. Yeah.
Enable its, whatever.
3D.
It's 3D fake thing. Well, and it just made it look kind of bolty. Like there are bolts in all corners and just not very elegant.
Didn't the first Moto X have that as well too? Because you could like hover your hand over and tell you things.
But it wasn't.
But I think
these are huge.
I know. These are huge. Fingerprint scanner that only does that.
Yeah. It has a front flash, and that's kind of useful for.
Front flash is kind of bad. Let me tell you.
Is it? I didn't even try it.
As the self-proclaimed selfie queen of America, front-facing flash is kind of bad. That's why I like the Lumi case.
That's right.
I'm speaking from experience, by the way.
Your Lumi case.
I listen.
Okay, I ain't gonna hate.
Get to the modules. All
right, let's talk about the modules.
Wait, one thing though.
Yes.
No headphone jack.
No. Yeah, duh. Yeah. You got to Bluetooth it all in, or you can buy.
You can get the included adapter.
I did not get that little factoid down.
Yeah,
Thank you for bringing that up. I was getting all angry. I was like, how dare you? Okay, so they're not as evil as Apple.
No.
They are going to actually put the adapter in the box.
Yeah. And that is according to the Motorola / Lenovo websites.
Clap emoji.
There's a lot of passion coming over here right now.
I know.
this corner
really
is so passionate.
What had happened was I did my video and everything, and I'm going to the Razor store downtown San Francisco, and I look up, on Feedly in big letters, no headphone jack. Like, how did I miss that? Like, oh my gosh. So
I missed that too, Tony.
Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because we take it for granted. We take that little 3.5 millimeter hole
I take you for granted.
Seriously.
I'm so sorry. 3.5.
Here's an homage to you, headphone jack.
Why do we go metric here, but then everything we're okay with metric?
Because this is America. We don't make any sense.
But then that's inches here. Okay, fine.
Anyway, so onto the modules, as Ron has been pleading for on the other side of the coast.
Thank you.
The Moto mods.
The mods were super neat. I like them way more than what LG's got going on. I'm sorry.
Yes.
What's the difference? Why do you like them more?
First of all, super cool the way they just like snap on the back. You don't have to take out a battery pack, which is kind of intimidating, I would think, for a Android newbie.
So thumbs up to the pogo pins.
Absolutely,
yeah. They're strong.
It's so strong.
So strong.
I was that one of those pictures that I have on there. You can see like the case is just kind of hanging on.
Yeah.
Those were just the magnets on the case.
Yep.
Like that's how strong they were. Yes, you can buy like back covers, to kind of customize it to your liking, which fits in with the whole Moto.
Kate Spade, Toomey.
Kate Spade and Toomey, they got some great brands on board.
Yeah, and those battery packs are also wireless charging enabled too.
Yes, exactly.
So that was a big thing for me.
And they're stylish.
Yeah.
Like,
they're not ugly.
I was thinking that's great brand recognition. I know that we all kind of scoff at it because maybe we don't care about it, but I could see like my girlfriends being like, I want to get the Moto because I can get the cute little polka dot Kate Spade battery pack. That influences a lot of people's decisions.
Sure.
Also, the JBL speaker, we were talking about how great it sounded before the show. It was really loud. I tried
in a press environment, it was super loud.
It was.
Yeah.
I tried to put on Gloria Stefan's Rhythm Gonna Get You. They were not having it. They kept putting it to the weekend, and I'm like, no. Anyway.
I'm sorry.
I tried.
I would have fought for that.
I tried to put The Rhythm Is Gonna Get You. It didn't get them, unfortunately. And then there was the projector, which we did not.
InstaShare projector. I got a chance to play with that a little bit.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, you know what? I forget how many lumens it is, but it basically what's really nice. It gives the image of up to 60-inch screen, and you can
that's
put on,
cool.
You can put on any screen. Now, here's the one thing that I really like. If you tilt the phone in such a way that maybe you, however that you're placing the phone, if it's at an angle, it will it will fix the screen itself. So if you're how do I explain this? If the phone is tilting upward and it looks like a trapezoid because of how the angle is of the screen to the wall, it'll fix itself so it's a perfect rectangle.
And, that's cool.
Yeah.
It'll do the auto sizing adjustment, which can be a huge pain in the butt for people who, with those, if you've been with those projectors and you're tapping the plus and the minus button trying to get the trapezoid set correctly, that auto detecting is really powerful, and that's really cool.
It has its own battery, so it doesn't drain the battery from your phone, at least for one movie or whatever it is that you're watching. That one was kind of hard to demo in the bright lights at the press event, but it was still very very impressive that it was real time. There wasn't a lag. I pulled up Netflix on the demo Moto Z, and it was impeccable. I was very happy with it. For me as someone that has kids, and sometimes I'm in situations where I need to get them entertained and. Watching Netflix is the only way to do it. But we're watching some other thing on the TV. Get them into the corner. Not the corner, but get them out somewhere. Get them to watch our show.
Project the movie on the wall.
Exactly.
Then they're not both crowding around a tiny little device.
Right, and it's not as bad for their eyes.
That's actually something this coming weekend I'm in New York. I'm going to be watching my nieces for the weekend as my sister's going out of town, and I was thinking of things I could do with them, and one of the things I thought, I'm like, I wish I had a projector and a sound system where you could go watch a movie outside in the garage or something, but I don't have those things. If I had this, I could just snap it on and that would work.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, sorry. Gloria Estefan. I'm sorry.
Rhythm is gonna get you tonight.
I think this is a good song, but Conga really is at the top of my list when it comes to Gloria Estefan.
I'm so glad I'm not there this week.
I have a really soft spot.
Ron, you're sad you're not here. I know you are.
I miss you, Tony. I do miss you. I do not miss the Gloria Estefan, but nonetheless. The Moto stuff looks super cool, and you know how excited I am for expandable and modular phones. So I think I'm glad to hear that this isn't a bomb like the LG.
No,
but the question that I have is what are the prices of all those things? How much? Yeah, we'll find out.
September.
Yeah,
let's wait. Yeah, come September.
Fingers crossed that it's not too crazy.
Man, it's gonna be an interesting fall. We're gonna have supposedly new Note. We're gonna have these new Moto phones. We're gonna have Phab2 Pro. We're gonna have the Nexuses.
Nexis.
Possibly made by HTC. It's going to be a busy fall, and I'm getting married.
Let's not forget the important things.
Have you invited all of your phones to the event?
Do they have front row?
Dearly beloved technology, we are gathered here today dormantly and on standby.
Yes. Before we begin, are you all on silent?
Airplane mode would be okay as well. Thank you.
I swear to God, if anybody's phone goes off. Anyway.
Yes. Awesome stuff. Thanks for sharing all of your firsthand insight. Dump. Yes. Ron, email.
Yes, we got an email from Kyle from Florida, and on the topic of Motorola, Kyle says, I purchased an original Moto 360 in November 2014, and overall, while it has its flaws, I'm happy with Android Wear as a whole, and I mainly use it for notifications and responding to text messages. Although sadly, my 360 seems to be slowly passing away day by day and often randomly shuts down on its own for a few hours into the day, only turning on again once it's back on the charger. I really like the idea of Android Wear and smart wearables in general, but at $250, I cannot see myself replacing it, especially since mine didn't even last 2 years before needing to be replaced. I know not everyone is having the same issues as me, but most Android Wear watches costing over $200, I just can't see paying that much for a device that doesn't have that long of a lifespan. I'm closely looking at something like the Mi Band 2 that has a low cost, and I would not be upset if something happened to it. So I guess what I'm asking you guys is what you guys see as the future of Android Wear and smart wearables in general. And yeah, I mean, I don't blame you at all. Buying a device for $250, you have a certain expectations of how long it's going to last. And if it doesn't meet that, you're going to sour on your next purchase. What that means for the future, who knows? I don't think wearables are going anywhere. I mean, hopefully they just continue to get better in quality and lower in price. I don't know if anybody has seen that happening yet, but that's what I'm hoping for.
Kyle, you are making a really good decision about the Mi Band, actually. So the only reason I use an Android Wear watch is because I review them. So that's why I have them. I'm using them because I kind of have to, but I have to be honest with you. I usually wear my fitness band because I find that I get the right information from it. I get what I need from it. I was trying to think of the word, but yeah, I get everything I need from it. I get my steps and my workouts. Those are what I care about, how much I've slept, I don't really care about notifications as much, although I do get it on my band. But I've heard such great things about the Mi Band.
Well, it's like $25.
And exactly, but that's what I mean, though. For how cheap it is, I've heard such great things about it. So
it has the time on it, which, I mean, that sounds silly, but I mean, for $25, you get all that functionality and you get the time, which is why many people. Out of your pocket,
yeah, exactly. Or your bag. So maybe, honestly, the way I see it is that we're not going to be seeing a lot of new a lot of new wearable devices coming out.
Smartwatches, like fully realized, full-blown
Yes, I'm sorry, smartwatches. Because if we look at what Fitbit and the other competitors are doing, the fitness market is like cracking up right now. But I think in terms of Android Wear, we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown.
Yeah.
Because the high-end brands have come in, like Fossil and Tag Heuer, and they're kind of sussing it out right now. I don't think they're as sold on it.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Yeah.
We'll see.
I think I completely agree. I mean, it really feels like in the last couple of years with smartwatches, it's been how far do we push it? How far do we integrate? You know, what do we want to be able to do the same things on our wrist that we do on our phone? Is that what people actually want? What they realize is
like a keyboard.
I mean, not really. I mean, some people would love to have that capability, but by and large, I think it just ends up fitting too much into there, and really, you know, this whole aspect, you know, kind of pared down experience with fitness bands that have a specialized function. Those actually do that possibly better than the does everything device that you really don't use, you know, half the functionality.
I mean, it's generally just a glorified second screen for notifications and other, you know, minor app interactions. I mean, that's basically what it is. And so I kind of look forward to it, you know, to the prices, you know, assuming that you don't get a Swatch or a Tag Heuer or whatever the big, you know, kind of the watch people get with their big old watches. But, you know, like $100 for a second screen for notifications, I'd pay that. So.
All right. Before we move on into some meta app discussion, it's a different kind of app segment today. Let's thank a sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Automatic. These guys right here, right inside this little case here is an Automatic for your car. Chances are your car has not kept up with technology in the way that all of the other aspects of your life have. We have smartphones, we have, you know, smart homes, all this kind of stuff. Now you can have a smart car. You just plug this Automatic adapter into the same port that your mechanic uses to diagnose engine problems, and it opens up just a ton of possibilities. You can track your mileage. You can, you know, follow, see how much it costs to run to the grocery store and back. Because I bet you never have broken down what you pay in gas versus, you know, how much these little trips take you. And that'll actually inform you to be a better driver, potentially, down the line. It works on nearly every car made after 1996. It takes minutes to install. Literally, you just kind of find the port and plug it in. You connect it to your iPhone or your Android device over Bluetooth. So every time you get in the car, it connects automatically. And that allows you to do some really cool things. You can get real-time performance data, things like audio alerts that signal when you ease off the, you know, when to ease off the gas or brake pedals if you're hitting them too hard. Helps you to avoid high speeds. They have a commute analyzer that determines when you should leave for where you're going, your destination, how you can save money by making your commute more efficient. Automatic can let you keep track of your fuel mileage. It'll allow you to set custom low fuel warnings so you're never stranded. And if you have that check engine light on and you don't know what it's all about, Automatic will actually tell you what it means before you take your car into the shop to, you know, drop a bunch of money on something that maybe isn't necessary. Automatic's going to kind of give you insight into what's going on under the hood. Keep track of your driving stats or your loved one's driving stats if you want to make sure that they're driving safely, responsibly. You have a teenager that just learned how to drive, just got their learner's permit, is driving by themselves. Ron, they've got a 24/7 crash response feature, so you can feel secure knowing Automatic is keeping your loved ones safe on the road at all times. And for Android phones, if you choose, Automatic can set your phone to Do Not Disturb mode and disable your keyboard while driving. Does it automatically, right? It connects to Bluetooth. It says, all right, you're connected to Bluetooth. It disables this stuff so that you aren't lulled into the idea of using your device while you're driving, because that can lead to an accident, and it can help you curb the urge to text while driving. Dashboard web app provides granular information, lets you export all of your trips, all of that information out. You can easily file business expenses with apps like Concur and Expensify. You can also tap this into things like If This Then That. There's an automatic app platform basically that handles the integrations with If This Then That, Amazon Echo, Nest, Your Mechanic, FreshBooks, all sorts of things. And we were speaking about wearables. It supports Apple Watch and Pebble, and it's just awesome. Like, literally, you can think about it, and you can make it happen with all of these different options. There are no monthly fees or subscriptions required, and Automatic will never sell your data. And yeah. Now you can link your car to the connected devices that power your life, the connected devices that we talk about on this show all the time. Automatic is normally $99.95, but for a limited time, you visit automatic.com, you're going to save 30% off your Automatic adapter. You also get free shipping, by the way. That's automatic.com, and check it out for yourself. Get one, plug it in, and see what you can do. You can come up with some really cool things, and we thank Automatic for their support. All right, it's time to talk about some apps. I'm finding week after week that the apps section is the most challenging section to fill for this show, and that did not used to be the case. It used to be the easiest.
Well, and that's what in our little email chat before the show started. I after we were talking about it, I realized that I was going back looking through the rundowns, and the majority of our app section for the last I don't know how many months have been like Google updates maps, Google updates play music. Like it's just all. Not only is it just app updates, but it's mainly coming from Google because we see those as important. But there really hasn't been any oh my God, did you see this app kind of moments that have happened for a while,
because they all kind of already exist. Some apps, like last week, I think we talked about a little bit about Twitter getting material design, but that's only going to really appeal to a certain segment of people who A, care about materials design and B, care about Twitter. So there's always this question of like, what app news is important enough for us to like devote conversation to, which actually totally ties into this story. And this came up last week. Peter Kafka at Recode wrote an article called "The App Boom is Over."
And it's not a sensationalist headline at all.
It's true.
You won't believe what happens next.
Yeah. But you know what? He makes a very fair point. It's something I've been thinking about for a while here, which basically says that the start of the mobile app boom was July 2008. That was the unveiling of the App Store, Apple's App Store. Here we are 8 years later, and app progress has really slowed down, right? Growth days have kind of slowed to a crawl. We're not seeing just all of these amazing apps coming out all over the place. And even if they are, exposure to them is not as easy because there's literally millions of apps to sift through in order to find them. The average American user downloads 0 apps per month. Why? Because they already have the apps that they use installed on their phone, and they got better things to do than to play around with all these apps. They got to live their life. Yes, exactly. Like work, like family, whatever it is, the most important things in their life that aren't just them staring at their phone all the time. Just kind of the vibrance of these things has kind of burned off a little bit because they've gone from being these things that we like to play with into being tools that are required in our everyday lives, and we just put the things that we need on them, and anything more than that, it complicates our life. What do you guys think about this? I mean, obviously, this probably doesn't apply as much to the people that follow this show because they are, all of you watching and listening, you're passionate enough about this to follow a weekly show about Android and hear us talk about it for an hour and a half.
But I only install apps weekly because I have to do the app showdown.
Right.
I'm just being quite honest with all of you that before I was on this show, I wasn't installing apps as often. Even like when I get pitches from PR pitching me a new app, I'm like, you really got to sell it to me because I'm just I'm not very interested in your app, to be honest.
Which is funny you say that, Flo, because like for the past however many years we've been doing the show, on a weekly basis, I've been looking for new apps and searching and stuff like that. But what I often find myself recently not doing is just browsing the Google Play Store, because often what I'm doing is when I'm researching new apps, I'm researching online, I'm seeing what people are writing about and all that sort of stuff. But over the past couple of weeks, when I've had the time, which is the argument in the article that I kind of agree with, that people don't have time to troll through the thousands of apps that are in the Play Store. But when I have had the time, I've discovered apps that I didn't know existed, games and things like that. I'm like, oh, cool, I'll check that out. I'll download that, especially now that I have more storage on my Nextbit Robin. I've been less stingy about what I download. So it's kind of, I've almost been in a flip situation where I went from being in a position where I'm doing really targeted, specific app installs for the show to allowing myself to discover more stuff, which is not a way I've been previously, but I think that's the opposite of the trend, because I think people have less time and it's an overwhelming amount of developers, an overwhelming amount of apps that are available. So you just kind of focus in on like, all right, I've got Gmail, that's my email. I've got whatever my Twitter client is. I've got Facebook. I've got the core apps that I need, and I'm not looking beyond that. I would hate to be an app developer right now. Oh, it's a rough market.
It's kind of like winning the lottery, really, if you're looking to launch an app and A, get exposure for it, and B, make a lot of money off of it. Like that's not an easy.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at someone like Casey Neistat, he is very, very popular on YouTube as a YouTuber, daily vlogger. He's a cinematographer and all this stuff. Beam came out last year. No one cared, and it's out again. No one cares. I mean, he's a great person, as from what we can tell from his daily vlogs that I follow. But but as a social network, it's not getting the traction that he has wanted. And we have all kind of, like what we were saying earlier about messaging apps. It's the same thing with social networks. Like once we have found a reason to stick with Snapchat or Instagram or Twitter, whatever it is, to add another cog to the crazy wheel of apps that we have to kind of cycle through every morning the second we wake up. The average person does not need that. Like you, I don't usually install an application from a PR press release that I get just because I want to try it out. I usually wait, or I do what Ron does, and I spend 5 minutes a week just kind of going through the App Store, the top 10, and just dwindling down. But
well, here's two questions. Here's two scenarios I want to ask the table. All right, one was, when was the last time you downloaded and installed a new app that you ran to tell someone about? Okay, and when was the last time someone ran up to you saying, hey, did you see this app? Like, that hasn't happened to me in months.
Number one would have to have been, for my age group, Snapchat, because I downloaded it and I was like, girls, get on this. We can make stupid things and send it to each other, and it doesn't have to exist forever.
That's a convincing argument right there.
The second...
when was that?
I mean, that was like so many moons ago. I mean, I can't even remember.
However long you've been on Snapchat.
However long I've been on Snapchat.
But I'm just saying that as an aging cranky Gen Xer who's recently come onto Snapchat.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm behind the curve on that. I mean, the teenagers have been using it for years now, and so while I have been impressed by the app and have used it and talked to my friends, be like, oh, you should get on this or whatever, it's totally not current in that by any means.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And for answer to number two, the last time I had somebody come up to me and talk about an app was an iOS user, and it was Peach.
Oh,
and
and everybody was talking about Peach for that.
I'm using that as an example because well, first of all, we didn't have it until much later on Android.
And
but
no one cared
I'm using
anymore.
that as an example because usually when I hear about new apps, they are from Apple friends.
iOS,
and I wonder if it is a difference in culture, because when you go into the Google Play Store, you'll notice that a lot of the top apps. So first of all, Google's always like, brand new games. Here's the top games. Best 25 games. Download these games. It's never like, download these productivity apps. Download these social networks. So I just think that I feel like if you're an app developer, you need to be a game developer, because that's the platform right now that people are still kind of discovering. Because
That's true. That's a good
I
point.
will install like a new game and get into it. But probably part of the reason I don't talk about it as much is because I don't.
Well, and it's funny that you used it's funny that you used the iOS users example, because I've actually had the reverse experience with iOS users where they've seen me using an app on my phone that I totally take for granted and have been like, hey, what is that? And then they went and found it on iOS and like, this is the best app for this category that I can't believe that, and I'm actually saving it because I haven't brought it to the arena yet, and I've been hesitant to, but after the reaction I've gotten, I might bring it in next week, so we'll see. But yeah, no, I mean, there have been a couple of times where there have been apps that I've had that iOS people have been like, oh, they look it over my my shoulder and they're like, oh, what is that? So I don't know. But I agree. To the original question, is the app boom over? I absolutely think the app boom is over. I think that the moment GE started doing a recruiting marketing campaign around wooing a developer away from making apps to make software to run trains, I think that's the moment that the app world for me kind of hit the peak, and now it's just been downhill. So,
Interesting. What do we do then?
Well,
I wonder what's going to happen to this segment as we go further. I'm not saying that anything changes, but yeah, it's interesting. I think you're completely on point as far as that's concerned, Ron.
Well, really this means that as an app developer, you have to do something completely different.
But how do you stand that? I mean, I feel like they realize that.
I don't know.
And there are a lot of them. Yeah, I mean that's
the question,
still
right?
like hitting the lottery.
But I think that actually ties into what is our next story in the apps, which I think is probably a good time to bring up. But so you might have seen as you're paying attention to tech news and all that stuff, Apple making a couple of announcements, little stuff here and there. But last week, Apple announced the new pricing structure for its developers, and they're focusing more on subscriptions for all categories of apps. So if developers can keep users subscribed for more than 1 year, the revenue split goes from 70-30, which is 70% to the developer, 30% to Apple, to 85-15, which is really interesting, especially considering how Apple has been lax to give up any revenue in what they do. I've worked with that from experience. But what's interesting as well is that Google has been testing a straight 85-15 split with some entertainment companies, and they're nearing to move to that new plan in the coming months. So maybe the market needs to shift to a position where we're giving the developers more share of the revenue being earned by these, because you assume that the marketplaces are hitting a critical mass of users where they have scale, so they can afford to make less on a per app install because they're making it across the platform itself. Either way, it means Tony, I think you're right. The challenge is to the developers to come up with more compelling app ideas. But here now, the two major app stores are looking for ways to route more money to those developers, which I think is a good sign.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like Google, according to this article, Google is not going to have the developers wait 12 months to give them the split. Right. It's going to be immediate. So,
which is great.
That's great.
Gotta get that Skrilla.
Yeah. Whatever that is, you got to get that.
Skrilla,
I know Skrilla.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Google continues to be more pro developer than Apple, and it pains me when people still continue to do just iOS only releases and things like that, because now between the tools to take one code base and deploy it to both platforms are getting better and better, and as Google is increasing the support for developers, I think Android should be a better option for developers.
Just use Xamarin.
So, yeah, exactly.
That works.
So speaking of Apple,
hello.
Because they're having a developers conference this week, which is not as fun as Google I/O was, quite frankly, because it's not a music festival.
Right.
And
it's not Burning Man.
By the way, just to throw some shade, today we found out that their musical guest is Good Charlotte.
Oh, jeez.
Thank you for. Anyway, that's not what the news was.
Gosh.
I just wanted to bring that up. But Apple did announce something yesterday that had me a little fumed. They announced that it plans to let users of iOS uninstall any of their built-in apps that users don't want on their devices. This includes the awful, terrible Apple Maps, Calculator, Music, Video, and even the Stocks app, because I don't have Stocks. Each of those will have their own app in the App Store, so if you want to get those stock apps back, then you can download them again, no problem. But this whole thing that was going on Twitter, people were talking about it, buzzing about it. It wasn't announced during the keynote. It was found out in the dev notes after the fact. But I was a little fumed about it because I just think about all the bloatware that lives on, carrier subsidized Android phones. And I think about, like the issue with our fellow Adam and his Samsung Pay and how he just cannot choose what the default is. And, if Apple's doing this when is Google going to put the kibosh on OEMs, making us stick with apps we just don't want?
I don't think they do.
I don't want NFL Mobile on my Verizon phone.
But Flo, the point you're making are two different things, though, because what Apple is doing is that Apple's saying that, hey, listen, we've got these apps that we're giving to you, Maps or Calculator or whatever it is, and you can uninstall them if you want. These are our apps.
Right.
And I think I'm not sure, and you guys can correct me, but I'm pretty sure Google. I mean, you don't have to keep docs on your phone. You can uninstall it, right? I mean, they're not. I mean, like you can't. I mean, but what you're talking about is people like Verizon and Samsung putting that bloatware, and they see value in doing that, which sucks. And I'm anti-bloatware. That's why I always go Nexus, and the choice is on the consumer side to not buy a Verizon phone because of that.
Yeah.
And you got to vote with your dollar. I mean, it's nice to see Apple doing this, and it's interesting. And now I want someone to check whether or not you can uninstall those things. But the thing is also is that I know here in our notes, like, is it time for Android to get this, i.e. uninstall YouTube? I use the YouTube app all the time.
Well, that's just an example.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that not every pre-installed app is necessarily bad. Sometimes they,
I agree.
Sure.
But that's why we want to have the choice. And I did not mean to make a comparison of apples and oranges. I know they're two different things, but I liked the idea that Apple was saying, all right, you don't like this dumb stocks app or whatever, you don't have to have it. And that just made me yearn for a little more flexibility when I'm buying a phone from a carrier. Because you said, vote with your dollars. Well, I'm voting for Verizon services, but that doesn't mean I'm voting for NFL Mobile. So,
but you're not, though. But you're not, because you're paying that bill on a monthly basis. So you're allowing yourself to accept everything. You're not using your dollar.
I mean, that's true, right? I'm telling myself the service is worth all the crapware that gets bundled in. That's true.
I mean, honestly, nobody's going to judge you for being a mid to late 20s millennial who's still on their family plan.
I'm not in my 20s anymore, but thank you. That was very kind of you.
Or 30s, wherever you want to be. I mean, if you want to be stuck on a family plan for the rest of your life, that's your choice. But don't say that I'm
trying to leave them, but they just keep roping me back in.
Flo, it's real easy to leave them. Just walk away. Just walk away.
It's not that easy, Ron. It's not that easy.
You're the only person staying on it. That's it.
Family plans, not easy.
Families are not easy. I mean, what? Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tony.
I think one thing that I'm interested in seeing is the development of this when it gets out of beta and more average everyday people have it. It gets to the newswire that you can finally uninstall these apps on your standard iOS 10 iPhones and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Google in the European Union and having the whole bundling issue, is Google going to have to answer to this? Because they have apps that they're in the courts because they're forced.
So, is Apple doing this preemptively then?
Well, I'm wondering if Apple is doing this and then the European Union says, Google, you are the largest mobile phone operator here in our countries and whatnot. You need to be able to do this because Apple is doing this as well too. What is Google going to say?
Yeah. But I don't know, and I'm on my Next Bit Robin. I just tried, and I can uninstall Docs, Sheets. I can uninstall all those apps. So I don't know what the experience
on my
is
Nexus
like,
I couldn't.
Yes,
Nextbit gave you Nextbit let you do that.
So that's
right. But there I voted with my
pros and cons of Android.
Yeah, I think that's it at its core. Google, Google is, at least not anytime soon, as far as I can tell, is not going to say, Samsung, you have to let people uninstall your apps.
Then they'll be like, see those billions of dollars?
Yes. Woo? I mean, they made it open for a reason. They made it open, in air quotes, for a reason, and that's a big part of it. And with warts and all,
but a girl can dream, y'all.
I have the Hangouts app on here. I can't take it off. And this is the HTC 10, so... Yeah.
Well, it's okay because you have Duo and Allo soon.
Great.
Allo.
Exactly what I want.
When I hear Allo, I just think of the Skype test call woman.
Yes. Yes.
Hello.
That's true.
Skype test call service.
Welcome to Skype's test call service. Let's take a quick break before the arena where we all show off 4 amazing apps that we would totally use after today.
Wonderful apps you should all download.
All right, let's thank a sponsor. Atlassian is the sponsor of today's episode. Today, nearly anything is possible if we can dream it. Teams can build it. So how do you bring everyone together to create what happens to be next, what's right around the corner. Team up with Atlassian, the makers of collaboration software that lets teams work and communicate better together. You can do all sorts of things with Atlassian products. Assign, track, and manage tasks for any project, no matter how complex. That's the clarity that you get with Jira. You can create and share content, organize results, bring team members up to speed with the flexibility of Confluence. Instant message or video chat with your team from any device. That's the freedom of HipChat. I use HipChat all the time, actually, with planning kind of guests for the shows, all that kind of stuff. You can test, review, and manage code in real time with the power of Bitbucket. We here at Twit, like I was saying, we use various Atlassian programs in our different departments. Our engineering team uses Confluence to document equipment and work processes, as well as Jira for managing vendors and organizing our constantly growing pile of tasks. Pile is a great word for all those tasks, which would otherwise be overwhelming, to say the least. For everything from planning events to working on serious operational issues, we tie all of our communications together with HipChat. We're all on HipChat, communicating in different rooms on different topics, just based on what we happen to be doing. And like I said, a lot of our guest kind of coordination between our shows happens on HipChat every day. Visit Atlassian.com and see how Jira, Confluence, HipChat, and Bitbucket can give your team everything you need to organize, discuss, and complete shared work. Check it out for yourself. Atlassian, helping teams everywhere team up to create what's next. That is the power of Atlassian. Go to Atlassian.com and find out more. Check it out for yourself. And we thank Atlassian for their support. All right, it's time for the arena.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
Alrighty. So last week we had some apps. They were in the arena, and you voted.
They were just apps.
Did you vote? They were just a couple of apps, whatever.
Dang, guests.
We had 3 actually.
All right,
and
so
it looks like so the guest did win. Yeah, John GBA, the Game Boy Advance. I guess guest in this case was Brian.
Brian.
So he's kind of a guest. He's a guest behind the board.
I downloaded that app too, actually, and I've been playing through Pokemon Fire Red. But anyway, let's not talk about Pokemon anymore.
It was pretty nice. Yeah. Every single episode we talk about Pokemon.
This week in Pokemon.
Listen,
Bulbasaur.
until I have children, just let me have this, and then I'll make them play Pokemon and compete in tournaments and take their prize winnings. But
fair enough. No,
heard that on the record.
Okay, so John GBA won with 40% of the vote. Quick took second place. That was your app, Flo, 38%. And then my app was Flamingo for Twitter, which is my new Twitter app. It's what I use now. I'm loving it. Really liking it.
Until it runs out of tokens.
Well, it doesn't bother me any because I got my token.
You already got his token.
I got it.
Once you got the token.
That's right.
So
check it out if you need a new Twitter client. It's a good one. Okay, so I guess that means I lost. So I will go first. Let's see here. Sometimes I think of design apps on a mobile device, and I think way more challenging than necessary. Like, some of the stuff, you just want to do it in Photoshop in a big screen because it's just easier when you've got all that spread out space, you've got the mouse, that kind of stuff. Well, an app called Designer, and that's spelled strangely, of course, Desygner, Designer, It also has kind of cross-platform editing tools, so you can do this on the desktop. But it has a really nice kind of UI on mobile for designing things. Now, what would you need to design? Let's go ahead and start a new design. Right off the top, you get all these templates, right? And they're templates that you might actually, like I found myself in situations where I need to create a Twitter banner or I need to create a YouTube banner or whatever. And they've gone through and they have all these templates formatted for these different services that you might want to create something on the fly for. Social headers, social media posts. So those Pinterest images that you get, five ways to decorate your home for a kid's birthday party, and they all look very similar. Well, here's a template, so you can look just like all those too.
That's handy.
Yeah, there you go.
It is.
Never made one of those, but they always look the same.
I can look the same now.
I know. It's like I fit into the Pinterest party. There's banner ads, I suppose, if that's your thing. Email, blogs, websites. just a ton of marketing materials, invitations and cards, fun stuff. You can also kind of just pick a custom size and get started with your own images. But it's just kind of, they've templatized it in a way that's visual appealing. So let's see, we'll go to YouTube. Sure, why not? And then you get all of these templates inside the YouTube kind of formatting. And those are starting points, essentially. So we'll go in here. I'll create a new project around this. It knows the right dimensions for that particular item that you're designing for. Everything's pulled from the cloud. So what you saw there was just like a demonstration of the things that you can pull down. As you can see, it's populating slowly because it's pulling down these pieces item by item from the cloud. And now that I have it, I can go in and I can go ahead and delete that image. It'll remove and sync to the cloud. I can go ahead and let's see here, replace this placeholder. Let's see, I had a beach view here somewhere and a ton of kid pictures. So
does it auto fix the resolution?
Oh, hey, there's Ron on me. I remember that day.
Sadly, I do too.
Yes, so it does. It does. Yeah, I'm not finding my beach picture. Oh well. Here, I'll just go like that because that's an abstract photo. I don't know what that is. Anyway, so it pulls it in, and you guys got a total look at my life on my photo roll. And I drag it, and now it's kind of expanded it to the view. Right, everything's very kind of like draggable. Throw it into the thing. No little, I mean, you can get in there and fuss with the size if you want with the holders on the side, or you can just like drag it in and it snaps in. That's a little piece of text over there on the side. I can tap it, do my font, choose a different thing, edit the size, and gets a little bit larger, whatever I want it to happen to say there. I can reposition it, all this kind of stuff. Someone's thing is beeping. All right, I'm going to undo because apparently I threw it out of whack. There we go. All right, so if this was my YouTube banner, basically that's all it took. And I'd be done, and I could go ahead and export it out, share it, whatever. It's just a nice little design app in your phone that's tailored for mobile and allows you to kind of on the fly, wherever you happen to be, do these things that I've found on mobile tend to be kind of challenging. And I like the approach here. So it's Designer. It's free. And DESYGNER if you want to do design on the fly. There you go.
You can make your own little YouTube videos on your phone and then like string them together, little title image and put that out.
Yeah. Decorate your landing page. I think that's what a lot of what you'll find on here. But I mean, there's all sorts of other things like cards and whatever. Anyways, there you go. Whatever. Okay, so that's mine, Designer. Does that mean, Ron, that you're?
I will go next.
And then Flo, you were the returning winner, so you're going to go last. So it's going to go Ron, Tony, and then Flo.
Okay.
All right.
So my app, when I originally found it, it was called Sleepcast. But since then, someone on their team seems to have gotten a little SEO happy and has changed the app listing in the Google Play Store to Music Alarm Clock Sleep Timer. But if you search for Sleepcast, you'll be able to find it. No problem. Yeah, Sleepcast. But this is an alarm clock app. It's pretty simple in what it does. It's meant to replace the alarm clock function in the stock clock app that comes with Android in case you're looking to mix it up. It gives you the ability to set alarms Monday through Friday, anytime. But what's really interesting about this is that it utilizes a combination of Bluetooth, wireless speakers, and DLNA to allow the alarm to go off on whatever speakers you have in your house that you want to. So, for example, if you're like me and you have a little Jawbone Jambox, little Bluetooth speaker, you can have that on your nightstand, and when the alarm is ready to go off, it will automatically turn on Bluetooth, connect to the speaker, and then start playing the music through that speaker. If you have wireless speakers on your network like Sonos or Chromecast or any of those other sources of speakers, it will find them and detect them and then play the music through those. If for some reason it fails to connect, don't worry, it will play the alarm through your phone, so you'll still wake up on time. But if you're like me and you're a heavy sleeper and sometimes you need a little more kick to get out of bed, there's nothing better than having your stereo turn on and start blasting music as opposed to the little tinny speaker on your phone. And this is a really, really kind of ingenious app that's doing a unique way of connecting to the devices that are around your house. You can specify on a per alarm basis basis what speaker to connect to. So if you're like me and you've got a Chromecast radio and you've got a Bluetooth speaker and you've got somewhere else, you can say, no, I only want it to trigger on that set of speakers. And again, it gets backed up and will play the alarm on your phone if for some reason it fails to connect, if that speaker goes offline or for whatever. I played with it at home last week, and it connected to my Bluetooth speaker, no problem. It connected to my Chromecast, no problem. Really, really impressed with this. It lacks a little on the design standpoint, but it's a simple function. It's just, you're making an alarm clock. What's also interesting, though, is that it allows you to specify the music to be played. It's driven purely by MP3s on your phone. So there's no Google Play Connect or Spotify Connect or anything like that. But if you're somebody who keeps media on your phone, or you want to load specific media for your alarms, you'll have to do that. So that's one thing to think about. I would love to see Spotify or Google Play Connect, kind of enabled on this so that you can play music from the cloud. But even then, I've got like 5 songs that I use to wake up. And so you just throw those MP3s on your phone and then you're set and you're good to go. So it's Sleepcast, really, really neat, really impressive. I like the using of your speakers that are out there on your network in this capacity. I never really saw an app doing that auto detecting and auto playing on a wireless speaker, and it worked. So check it out.
That's awesome. I have a wireless speaker in my room, and I've often wondered, why can't this also? It's like working in reverse. I have a wireless speaker in my room. Why can't this be an alarm clock? Meanwhile, that's used to be what we had in our rooms.
One interesting thing too also is that not only is it an alarm clock, but it also has a sleep timer. So if you want to, let's say you want to listen to music, but have the music turn off after 30 minutes or whatnot as you go to sleep, you could do that with this app as well too, with those speakers. So yeah, very neat. Good job, Sleepcast. So I don't think you need the SEO that they've done for music alarm clock sleep timer, but I understand. So
music alarm clock sleep timer by Sleepcast.
Extreme
does everything you need. All right, cool. So that is Sleepcast. Tony, you're up next.
All right, so I love going to the gym. Go like 4 or 5 times a week, as much as I can.
Can you teach me?
We'll talk.
to enjoy it.
To enjoy going to the gym.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Podcasts.
Podcasts
help. I'm serious.
I found that a lot of the fitness applications from Google Fit, even my Microsoft Band, the limitation is that it's mostly cardio. They don't do a lot of weight training, weightlifting.
Yep. That's true.
And thusly, I have looked through the App Store and I found Strong Lift's 5x5 workout. Now, this is a workout you're not going to do every day. This is 3 times a week. And it's about 45 to an hour long, depending on how many breaks that you take. But let's just say that you start a workout, and this is really for like upper body strength, and you can also do like a heavy leg day. This is mainly meant for heavy or strength workouts. So you are doing 5 sets of 5 reps. So squats, which is for your legs, you can specify how much you want to lift. Now, if you're like me and you can't add, it tells you this is the bar. The barbell weighs 45 pounds. And it will also tell you, one side of the bar you add 45 or 25, and it all equates to a total of 185 pounds. So that's really beneficial to me because I'm trying to rack my brain. How much weight do I have on either side? And you can raise that or lower that. And once you start your workout, you just say, okay, you do your 5 squats, and then you just click, done 5. Now, what happens is at the bottom, it tells you should actually take about 90-second rest. You can do 3 minutes if you want. If you close this out and then you turn it back on, there is an update that'll actually tell you right from the lock screen what your next set should be. Now, what's really nice too is if you go to failure, which means you go as much as you can only do maybe 3 reps, and that's it. It's okay, and it tells you just kind of keep you going. And as you keep doing this, every day it gives you a graph, and you can see every workout that you're doing and how it's progressing. So my body weight, I'm staying at the same weights primarily. Stay at the same squats, unfortunately, but then my bench presses have exponentially grown. My deadlifts have gotten a lot better, so on and so forth.
Does that mean you're getting stronger?
I'm getting stronger.
He's getting stronger.
You're getting swole.
I'm getting swole.
Ooh.
Now, the thing is, this is a free application, However, in order to unlock more advanced features like other workouts, like for example, the free app only gives you squats, bench presses, barbell rows, very basic stuff. If you want to edit your exercises to add more workouts, that is adding what they call the Power Pack. And the Power Pack is, where is it here? It's here somewhere. Yeah. So the Power Pack features a warm-up calculator, the ability to integrate into Google Fit. There's a lot of capabilities and really useful functionalities with the Power Pack. That's $9.99 one time. So if you're a gym rat, go ahead and say it. If you're someone that's looking for something that is beyond what you can find with your Fitbit or your Google Fit and things like that, and you're really into lifting, Joshua Vigar might be interested in this. Definitely check out Strong Lift's 5x5 workout. It is in the Google Play Store. It is free for at least the base unit of it. And as long as you are doing what Flo's doing with all the Google surveys, you get your free money.
It's true.
You buy the app and you support the developer. The other cool thing is I almost glossed over it. If you don't know how to do a workout, there's this section here that shows you, videos, deadlifts. And as you go directly to the YouTube video, and it shows you exactly how to do deadlifts properly.
Oh, excellent.
So you don't hurt your back like I did last night.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Not so excellent.
Question, does it work with other like machines or whatever?
This is really, it's really focused around the barbell. So if you are using dumbbells, you're going to have to kind of try to figure something, modify it a little bit.
I see.
Or graduate to the barbell. Now, like I said, this is meant to be 3 times a week. If you're doing this every single day, you're doing it wrong. Your body mechanics will recognize the same movement and the same motion to the point where it's not going to do you any good.
Yeah. Nice. I've added that to my list.
All right.
For a fitness episode
This week in
of
fitness.
Arena someday.
Wait. TIFF?
Twiff.
Okay.
Interesting.
Sounds weird.
I don't know if I
don't
like
do
Twiff. I don't think I like the
don't do
acronym. All right, so that is Strong Lift's 5x5 workout. Flo, you are up next.
Yeah, so I've just got a simple app for you all here today. Noah.
Noah.
I actually forgot. I was going to say what it stands for, and then I forgot what NOAA stands for.
Noah.
Jason, help!
Google will help with this. The National Oceanic
Thank
and
you.
Atmospheric Administration.
Oh, I feel like a jerk about that. I'm sorry, Noah. I follow you guys on Twitter. Anyway, so, I'm kind of a map. I'm obsessed with looking at maps of things and seeing how things are developing
It's on
over
your
time.
phone, so.
So I downloaded this third-party app called NOAA Weather International, and it aggregates all of that information that you would get from NOAA's official site. And the reason I like it is because it actually gives you like the weather forecast from the weather balloon near your house. Not an actual balloon, but the weather station, I should say. So
It'd be cool if it was the balloon.
I know, right?
Like
so,
if you go to a specific balloon, that'd be awesome.
So this only works in the U.S. and Canada, I should say. You saw it on Germany earlier. I was trying to test and see if it would work overseas. So it only works here in the U.S. and Canada, but I like it because it's very detailed. I look at the weather to plan out my outfits for the week. I really appreciate that, so I know what to have washed and whether I should layer in San Francisco.
Make sure you layer, Jason.
This app is really nice because you can choose between different views. So here you can check out if there's any rain, but it hasn't rained here in forever because, we're in a drought. This is supposed to show you the clouds. So right now this is the night clouds that we have above us. That's why it's all dark. It is dark outside. This will show you the wind, which is kind of neat. So it shows you which way the wind is blowing with these tiny little arrows. And then it's supposed to show you a little animation. Oh no, I'm sorry. It shows you the changes over time. Wind's been blowing consistently today. Surface pressure. You can favorite different places so that you can switch back to and fro. When you do go to a location, you can favorite it. And I'm trying to, there we go. And it'll show you the current condition. Excuse me. I breathed in some something. Excuse me about that. It'll show you the upcoming forecast that it says from your weather station, which is kind of neat. It even shows you a little balloon and the way it's blowing so that you know which way the wind's blowing.
The wind sucks.
Yeah. So a couple other neat things is the NOAA Weather International, which is a free app, by the way. Shows you besides showing you current conditions, also gives you hazardous weather alerts, which will live inside your notification shade. I don't have it in mine because I'm okay and we live in California. It comes with a home screen widget, light and dark material themes. It's also optimized for tablets. There's Android Wear support, which I really like because it'll give you like the readout of the couple of days on your watch. I should have brought the watch to show that. There is also an ad-free version, which you can buy for I think 99 cents or something of the sort. I'm buying time so that I can look it up. It's $9.99. It's $9.99 is the plus version. That one takes away the ads.
You must get more. No, it's an ad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just ad free for $9.99. Wow. Listen, support the developers, y'all. Okay,
support NOAA.
It's actually a pretty robust app. I just only use it for the radars. So.
Fair enough. That works.
I only use it for the 7-day forecast, quite honestly. So
for your outfits. For outfit planning.
So
believe me, I understand.
So you know to layer or not.
I do. I have to know what to watch. Guys, it's a process. I
get it.
I plan my week every Sunday, and it's obviously a very OCD thing. But anyway,
way too much insight into Flo's life.
Yeah,
right now.
that's way too much insight into me right now. That's the context behind why I installed this app.
Let's vote. Let's vote.
NOAA, Weather International.
Yes. And I've actually been using this app, by the way, for quite a while. This is not one of those apps I just installed for the show. You can tell when I've installed one of those apps because then I'm like,
we've all been there.
Yes.
Believe me. Okay, so you can place your vote for your favorite app this week at bit.ly/AAA show 270. Bit.ly/AAA show 270. Designer, Sleepcast, Strong Lifts 5x5 workout, and NOAA Weather International. Place your votes. We'll check in on it next week and see where it lands. And that, as they say, is that.
Goodbye. All right. Wow.
No, not really, just goodbye. Tony, thank you for coming up and being on the show again. It's been nice having you here.
Thanks for the invite, man.
Of course.
Great to be here. Always love coming out to the Brick House, and can't wait for the new digs.
New digs.
Yeah,
working on it.
Next couple of months. Here in studio with Flo and Ron. Too bad you're over there, but you're here.
Get you next time.
You're here in TV. So
in TV world.
TV world.
Well, apparently you live next door to me.
Yeah. And apparently my wife goes to a gym almost adjacent to you, so.
Yeah,
she can kick you up into
people who don't really want to go to the gym.
Who just pay for a membership every month.
That's my life. Yeah. Anyway, more insight into my life.
We're learning a lot about you today.
This is the Flo Show.
Tony, where do you want to point people to? Where
sure. Yeah, so if you want, right now the best way to find us would be on YouTube, youtube.com/LazyTechTV. And then if you just type that into Google, you'll find our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And if you want to find me also, I'm going to call it out, Snapchat, TNinja3000. Just follow me. I do stuff on there. That's like my vlog, so there's that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes. Thank you very much again.
Yeah. It's awesome having you on. Flo, what's up?
What's up is it's going to be another episode of the Flo Show. Just kidding. This Saturday on the new Screensavers, I'm going to be co-hosting.
Nice.
Please, you guys, we are always wanting to field questions from you. So please send over your Android questions. You can tweet me if you like, if that's a little bit easier for you, and I'll pass it along. Or you can email newscreensavers@twit.tv. totally looking forward to seeing what you guys want to ask, Android related or otherwise, whatever's on your mind. That is related to the new screensavers, not just whatever's on your mind, but you get the gist.
So I woke up and I was just thinking about the meaning of life.
I mean, we could talk about that, but on another day.
Okay.
And also, of course, you can find me at PCWorld.com and Greebot.com. And tomorrow I've got an interview going up with Carl Pei of OnePlus.
Nice.
And I've got the Samsung Galaxy S7 active review that's in the pipeline right now. So that'll be up next. And of course, my OnePlus 3 review is up. So
Yes.
please
Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out. Video and all.
Yes, video and all. Man, this phone is so good, y'all. It's
really
so good.
Yeah. They grew up.
Ron, are you going to be getting one?
I don't. It looks very nice, but I'm very happy with my next bit. So I don't know.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Tell people where they can find you.
So yeah, you can go to about.me/RonXO where you can find all my links to social media, or head over to ifanboy.com if you're into comic books. Every week we're talking about the new comic books that come out there on that weekly podcast. But we also talk about comic book related movies. And this past weekend we recorded a very special podcast, close and near to my heart, maybe to some of yours. If you're a big gamer or PC gamer going back to the 90s, you might have noticed that the Warcraft movie came out this past weekend. And as someone who's been playing Warcraft games since longer than I want to admit, this podcast was a very difficult one to record. So go to ifanboy.com. You can hear that podcast and hear our mixed feelings about the movie adaptation of our favorite game franchise.
Yeah. I might wait for video. Is that even a thing anymore?
Here's the thing. I'm going to spoil my own podcast, but this is the conflict. It is not a good movie. I do not recommend it for anybody who doesn't know anything about Warcraft. As a dedicated Warcraft player for 20 plus years, I enjoyed the heck out of it. I had a great time at it.
You're a Warcraft player?
Oh yeah, I've been playing Warcraft since Warcraft 1. So, but not anymore. I'm retired.
He's a Warcraft OG.
Yeah, no, I played Warcraft, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, and then I played World of Warcraft for an entire year, 2005 to 2006. I hit level 60, and then I logged out of the game and never logged back in. And now I get my fix by playing Heroes of the Storm. So,
there you go.
Yeah,
my dad saw it. He thought it was really good.
Yeah,
he's not a.
Well,
he's not a. He doesn't know.
I just don't see how anybody who has no context for that universe could enjoy the movie. But that said, as someone who knows the context, I enjoyed it a lot. So,
alrighty, check that out, and then rush over to the Mac and Josh's Twitter feed and check that out. Right, Josh?
That's right. Yes, you can at the Mac and Josh on Twitter. Is where you can find me there.
What do you talk about on Twitter?
Really not anything interesting at all. Just stuff. I was gonna say I too pay for a gym membership that I don't use ever.
Man, we need to do something about that. We're wasting money.
We'll do some push-ups right here after the show.
Yeah, I know I could. Yeah, you're right. But I don't have an Android device.
Oh,
maybe they have an iOS.
Only Android users can do push-ups.
Well, then he has to do double.
Oh, and one arm behind his back.
Right. Okay. Something like that.
We'll figure it out for you, Josh. Don't worry. We've got you covered.
Hey.
Okay. You're going to be taken care of. Thank you for TDN. You did a great job today.
Thank you. You did a good job hosting.
See, that's what I was hoping
Everyone
he'd
here
say.
did an amazing job today.
I was hoping he would say that. That's why I said that.
Y'all did so great.
And we have the worlds
in our
not on our shoulders, but on our table.
Right in front of us, still turning, and I don't know how it works, but it does.
Everything
and it kind of blows my mind.
Turn.
You can find the globe on the table. You can find me at about.me/Jason Howell. Follow my music, yellowgoldmusic.com. That's it.
I can't
want to make sure that you know.
Jeez.
There is no breaking news.
There is no breaking news today. The breaking news is that this show
is over.
Finally.
347-SHOW-AAA is the phone number. AAA at twit.tv is the email. You can send us an email or a video mail there. You can find us on Twitter. We are at Android Show. Find us on Reddit. We are twitaa.reddit.com. We have show notes and past episodes on our site at twit.tv/AAA. You can also find our episodes on YouTube, iTunes, wherever you find podcasts. And you can catch us live every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific at twit.tv/live. That is it, finally, for this episode, the supersized episode of All About Android. We'll see y'all next week. Bye, everyone.
Wait, there's more of us.
There's more of us. White shots.